Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 961 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by the crew, the usual crew. James Dean Rader, Ben Funky Askren. We are here on a Monday. Worlds has concluded, and we don't have a lot more medals than we did last time we did this show. But Emi Allure won gold in fantastic fashion. The ladies finished up a strong showing at the World Championships. Japan's still the standard there. We're going to have a question, kind of a Worlds wrap-up and a lot of and a question-heavy show. We have ignored your questions far too long. And JD said enough is enough. These people need answers.
They have questions.
We probably don't have answers, which is the worst part of it all. Because I think we're going to help.
We can guess.
We can guess. We can give our best guess.
That's all we do here.
Yes. That's all we do here. So we'll get started with that. But first, Ben, how are you?
I'm good. I had a great weekend. We had the P&L in Chicago. We had a bunch of new teams there. So I think we had 18 teams. It was a lot of fun. A lot of good competition. Ran in a very timely and efficient manner. So everything's great.
Timely and efficient manner.
That's one of our things. We're trying to set the standard. We say the schedule. We're going to be on schedule. We're not going to run late.
Okay, well, good job on keeping the schedule. Was Sion helping running your operations there? He's very.
He's actually. I know he's the vice president at Flow. He's the president of the P&L.
He can't make up his title. He's not a vice president.
He's your boss. Get used to it. You gotta stop disrespecting him on the show.
That's right. Sion is not my boss. Okay, where do you want to start, boys?
I thought we were doing questions all show. Nice and easy.
All show? No, let's wrap a little on Worlds.
Okay, wrap on Worlds. America's the best in the country. Christian, you didn't believe in us.
We are the best.
We're still going to love you and accept
America, you kind of fumbled the bag there. America.
Damn it, what did I say?
You said America is the best in the country. One.
Well, we're that too.
Well said. Two, your whole thing was the come on dog thing. You kept that was in reference to you trying to ignore Russia's scores at the World Championships. That's why I said come on dog. You're like, nope, Russia's not there. They don't count. And then I said come on dog. So
no. I asked. The second part. I said they didn't count after that.
No,
we can rewind the tapes.
Yeah,
I said you said they're gonna be a battle for second or third, and I said, well, who do you think is gonna be first then? And then you said Russia, and then I said they didn't count.
Yeah, so you said they don't count. So fake.
Well, they don't. They actually don't count though.
They do count. If you want to call yourself the best, you have to beat them if they're at the tournament. But anyways, we did do it, and I accurately predicted everything. Didn't miss a single match. Every result.
Our girls did pretty well.
Yeah.
Not quite as well as the men, but on the same point, man, Japan is just so good. It's almost perplexing how good they are in women's wrestling because they're like pretty good in men's, but not great. So it's kind of funny in that way that they're so much better at women's than men's. And they're just so much better than everyone else because a lot of the other good countries in men's freestyle are not really all that great in women's freestyle.
Yeah, and they had an upperweight beat us, which is rare. You know, their 76 beat Adeline, which, you know, that hadn't happened. Normally, we kind of one of the ways we've been able to make up points against Japan is at those upper weights where they're not as good. But now they've got a solid option there. I'm excited for the Olympic year because I think that sets up best for USA.
Yeah.
Now, can we beat Japan? I'm not sure even that's. I'm not sure that's possible. I mean, it's possible, but not sure it's very likely. But I think our team's going to look really, really solid. And some of the weights where we weren't able to get big point contribution, I think it's going to be shored up come the Olympics. Because I think it's going to, just briefly, you got to figure Sarah is going to be the 50 again, right? And then 53 is going to be a combination of Jakara, Dom Parrish. I heard Jenna Burkett might go down. I think she's going to be, I think all three of those could medal at the Olympic Games. There's probably some others I'm forgetting. Helen at 57 looks to be, you know, our best option yet again and likely to bring home a medal. Kayla, 63 or 62 is I think
She did not have her best tournament though.
No, she didn't. Definitely not. And I'm sure she feels the same. And
but here's the two is I think that probably Macy Kilty and Amit Alor, which were both in non-Olympic weights, should probably slide down to 62 and 68. Because Macy Kilty is coming off of silver, and then Amit Alor obviously dominated everyone.
Yeah, so Macy versus Kayla looks like it'll be the showdown for the Olympic trials. There may be some others in the mix there. And absolutely, if you're Terry Steiner, you are doing anything you can to get Amit to commit to going 68. That's going to make you so much better. You're going to have a medal threat at 72, regardless of if it's Amit or Adeline again, or Kennedy punches through, or Kylie Welker, or Yelena McCoy. There's a lot of options there. So I think our Olympic team is going to be really, really solid and pretty similar, candidly, to 2021.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, there could get, if Kilty and Allure get in there, there could be a few new ones. But yeah. Very similar.
Yes, indeed.
What are your thoughts on Adeline versus Kennedy now after Adeline drops this match? Does it change at all?
No. I think. Listen, Kennedy showed what she can do against Adeline. So I think it's winnable for Kennedy, but there's also just the savvy veteran, the strength. I think in a year Kennedy makes up the gap, but I thought that was going to be this year also. So I don't know.
She made up the gap.
Yeah, and then another gap got created.
I know.
So now she has another gap to make up.
I think a large part of it is mental for her. Just
100%.
If she's mentally all there in the right state of mind, thinking that she's going to win, that she deserves to win.
Yeah,
that she deserves to be there, she can win.
Just finishing matches. That's hard against someone with Adeline's skill, and she's never going to stop, trying to score and trying to pin you. She's got the knockout punch too, so I don't know. But yeah, you're right, Ben. Everyone is, and JD put in the doc, a lot of questions about Japan is so good at women's wrestling. I don't have a theory other than they have an excellent system, and they have athletes that are committed to it.
I would guess something like also maybe do they have the same coaches? Because that's probably a big part of it, right? They probably have different focused women's coaches and different focused male coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Some of their coaches, I don't know about back home, but they do both sometimes. I've seen at age level world championships that I've been at with our coaches, some coaches stay the whole time. But I think they do have some specific women's coaches. I think a big part of it, too, was investing early in women's wrestling. So you get really good, and then that success breeds more success, and it's kind of a cycle. Similar to when a college gets really good here, and then, now high-level athletes want to go and continue on to go to that college. Similarly in Japan, you start seeing world and Olympic champions being put out at a high rate. Your high-level athletes want to go do that.
Yeah, that's true too. Maybe they're just the earliest adopters, and USA's been in the game for a long time too. But it seems like their level of investment in the athletes too make a big difference too. And only recently have we seen the explosion of women's wrestling, right, in participation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The level of athlete you're getting that chooses to go into wrestling in Japan for women versus in other countries where, here, maybe they play volleyball or basketball. They're more likely to play volleyball or basketball.
Yeah.
Something like that. No
doubt. So, congrats to Japan. Maybe we'll run them down one day. Okay. Any other world's thoughts before we go to question mode, which will invariably have world's questions in it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Let's start with one from Bader's father-in-law, Pete Saylor. Better overall wrestling career as of now, Taylor, Dake, or Snyder? We'll let Ben take this one.
Oh, every year with these questions.
Every year it changes.
Well, I mean, we're all gonna go Taylor this time because he's the one that just won.
Well, yeah.
No,
I mean,
no. JD's not. JD's sticking with Dake.
He's undefeated against David Taylor. Whose career would you rather have?
don't know. One's an Olympic champion.
This is true.
And he has
One's a 4-time NCAA champion
title now.
Yeah.
Correct.
What'd you say?
And he's got three worlds plus an Olympic. Dake has he has got 4 worlds, so they both got 4.
Both have 4, but David has the Olympic. All of David's, are at an Olympic weight. That is notable.
Sure.
You could counter now we're going back to NCAAs. So if you want to counter an Olympic title with 2 NCAA titles and say those negate each other and that they're square, you could say that. I don't know if I would. To counter the counter, while he didn't have as many titles, he had a better overall record. He had fewer losses, I believe, in his NCAA career and was more dominant through his NCAA career. And he had more Hodges in his NCAA career. For Dake, they made the team at like the literal same day. So they've started making teams more recently. Another point for David is he really hasn't lost since other than the Yazdani loss, he has 1 loss. Dake has a Sidikov loss and the Kadi loss. And then what else? Nothing really else. No. So 1 loss really separates them. It's really tough, but I guess we're talking a lot about Taylor Dake. Are you throwing Snyder out of this conversation?
Well, I feel like this weekend you probably are.
Yeah.
Depends on what Tejudinov goes off and does too. Yeah. As of right now.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle only has 3 world titles, correct?
Yeah, 15, 16, 17. Oh no, last year.
So he has 4 also.
He has 4. He has 4 also.
Oh my God.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And he's the only one with an Olympic gold and another backup Olympic medal.
Yeah, so he's a 2-time Olympic medalist. Yeah. I don't know. It's a real who's. You know what, Pete? This was a trap, and I fell into it. When the dust settles, there's still got so much to do.
No, I know what career I would take.
You fall in this trap every single time.
Kyle Dake. Who you are? Blonde one?
Blonde one. The four NCAA titles and undefeated against David Taylor. Like, if you ask me whose career would I rather have, Kyle Dake.
All right.
He's got the trump card on David right now. Unless you want to say that the Olympic title is the trump card, but...
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's 4-4. I initially said David, but I will go back and say Kyle.
Flip-flopping Ben. Yeah. So it's like, all right, well, hold on.
Talk me into it.
I guess the question...
The question was wrestling career.
Yeah. Not like who would win. Because if it's who would win, do you guys still think, and it's not crazy at all, do you guys still think Dake would be able to beat David Taylor right now?
I don't know. Let's just throw him in a round robin.
The size is too much.
Size is too much. Well,
I consider it, though, if you say you give him 2 years to bulk up, and it's at like a 84 kilo or something like that.
Yeah, Dake's not getting up to 84. Like he was weighing in, I'm pretty sure, the 70s when he was wrestling Jaden in the... but the thing is, why do you consider size now? He was way smaller than David at the Olympic trials in 2016.
Because I think David has continued to get better and can use size to his advantage.
Yeah. You would think Dake.
Not that Dake hasn't continued to get better either. But
I know. It's just one of those things. Does Dake just have the one? It's crazy. No one else can slow this guy down. David is just a runaway train against literally everyone.
It's a good song.
It's insane. Yeah, I don't know whose career I would take. They're all pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
Are we in the golden era of USA Wrestling? Do you think we get even better? Well, I don't know. I think we could get better, but it's hard to imagine.
Can you read that question? You read that wrong. You read that very quickly.
Okay. Are we in the golden era of USA Wrestling? And do you think we get even better?
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm saying yes, we are in a golden era, but yes, we also continue to get better.
So I agree. Absolutely, we're in the golden era. Getting better is tough because we have so many legends. And are we just going to be a churning out legend after legend after legend at multiple weights? We have Jordan, David, Kyle are just like absolute legends. So 4 out of 6 or 10 weights are just Mount Rushmore candidate type of wrestlers.
Yeah.
So the idea
I don't know
that
that'll happen again.
That's what
that.
I'm saying. It's
No, I mean, like, say if we were first or second in the world every single year, and the thing I would point to is like, look, Seabass is an American. He just was a world silver. Michich, he's an American. He was just a world gold. And we may not have the situation where certain guys are on the team for a decade. It may happen with 1 or 2 of them, but it will be like Russia, say, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, where it was like whoever made the team was likely to be in the world finals, right? Remember some of the 74 kilogram weight classes where it was like, this is my era, but it was like Satiev, Sargush, Murtzaliev, like whoever made the team was going to try to win a world title.
Yeah. So that's a good point, because if you look at Russian teams, there's very few guys that go on that run like that. The run, like, I mean, even as great as Sargush was, how many teams in a row did he make? Like, did he make 4 teams in a row? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I think he made that many. I think 9, 10, 11. 9,
10,
He
11.
didn't make
9 through 15. He made a bunch.
He was not 15, and he was not
15.
and he was not 13.
Would beat Jordan in 14, right?
He beat Jordan in 14. He wasn't there in 13. He was there in 11 and 12.
He's definitely the rep 9 through 12.
Yeah. So
In 14, he won.
and he won in 14, and then never again. So, you've got the Sargushes, the Sagilayevs, the Sidikovs that go on runs, and Uguyev here for a bit. But there is a lot of, movement and a lot of changes in their weight. So maybe that would be a sign, not having the same person lock down a weight for 5-10 years. I mean, Snyder's going to have lockdown 97. He's coming up on a decade of having this weight. 2015 would be
2
10
more
years.
Well, 1 more year.
Yeah, honestly, if he makes it, and honestly, it's hard to envision him not on this team again.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to beat him next year.
No. Okay, so Gold, do we get better? I don't know. It's tough to say, and also, you mentioned, I don't know why, but you mentioned like Sebastian Rivera and stuff, but like that's kind of part of my point is I think we're going to lose more and more good guys to other nations, which is going to cut into our talent, as it has Russia. So that's going to make it tougher.
Fun fact.
But I think that also points to like how good and how deep we're getting, because if those guys thought they had a better chance at making the team, maybe not Michich, but I feel like Rivera, if he would have felt like he was closer, he likely would have stayed on the American roster. No, I think it is a good idea for them to go to the other rosters, because they get a lot of shots at Worlds and they don't have to wrestle off a whole bunch of times. But I think it points to the depth for us.
Yeah. Fun fact from JD.
That I forgot about. 2011 Worlds, Sargush lost to Venezuela.
What?
When?
I have no recollection of that.
2011 Worlds. After Jordan beat him, that was the year Jordan beat him in like the second round. He went and lost to Ricardo Roberti of Venezuela. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0.
Dang.
So he just didn't want to be there, or what?
He got dominated,
Because Roberti's not good.
No.
according to you.
I mean, he's not very good.
Ethan Carson. Does Nick Lee deserve some respect? People saying Yanni would have placed. Well, Lee was on Stack Side of Bracket, had a good match against Almazad, who beat Yanni 2 times. So I don't think Yanni was a guarantee, LOL, says Ethan Carson. No one did better at Worlds than guys that didn't make the team, I found, this year. They were the best. Jordan and Yanni and Gilman. All I'm hearing about is all the hardware those guys brought home, hypothetically. Yeah, he deserves some respect. And yeah, Yanni's great. But as Ethan basically made the point for us, it's very likely Yanni doesn't place in this bracket because he's losing to Amazad. And wait, did Amazad make the finals? No, because Musakai beat him. So Yanni DMPs similarly. So yeah, I think he does deserve some respect.
I feel like most people were saying Nick Lee wrestled really well.
I think so.
And that was the kind of the consensus that he performed at or above expectations, even though he did not medal.
Yeah, he didn't get run out of the building.
He wrestled clearly really hard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And threw him on his back, and if you're able to hold him there, you get the pinfall, and then you move on, and then he's wrestling for a medal, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I respect Nick Lee's performance. He did a good job in a ridiculous weight, and he got drawn in the most ridiculous part of the bracket.
Yes.
And I think I'm still seeing a lot of, because you posted the process thing video, and so I'm getting mentions about that and about how Jordan would have placed, and it's like, man, I feel like I have to make a case against Jordan Burroughs, but like, what did we see in the last year from Jordan that says he was going to medal here? Like, for sure, that you're like beyond the shadow of a doubt. He didn't wrestle much, and when he did, he lost to Iran. So he's the man and a legend, but time is coming for all of them, every single wrestler, and it could be at that point with Jordan. I don't know. And I don't know for sure because I haven't seen him wrestle very much. So I would be able to be more definitive and be like, no, yeah, I do agree, Jordan for sure would have wrestled, but I didn't see him wrestle very much. And when he did,
I mean, it would have been,
to
your point, I think you said this on Twitter, but it would have been a different story if you saw him, go beat up the guys who are first and second in the last calendar year, but he doesn't wrestle that much, so it's really hard to put him and say he's here because you can't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. We certainly saw glimpses, even against Chance. You saw like there's still a lot of that Jordan is still there. I don't know. I'm never writing him off, and obviously what he can do is undeniable. But I don't know. All right, next question. All right, there's sort of two kind of like folk style centric questions. One was that like 40% of the world champs had a folk style background, and then another Ashby Diaz says, "Can you tell all the people that think US should be all freestyle to just stop arguing that now?" I want to kick this to Ben.
I don't even know what I want to comment on those things. The 40% is kind of nonsense. That's just 3 Americans plus Micic. So that's just a silly metric there to bring up.
Why?
I don't know.
That's what you would cherry pick a data point like that.
I don't do that cherry picking. I tell the full truth and nothing but the truth.
All right, I'm gonna start calling out your cherry pick data.
Try it.
It will be tried.
Yeah, I don't know. I love them both. I love freestyle. I love folk style. I hope we don't ever go away from folk style to freestyle exclusively. And I don't feel the need to argue which one is better because I like them both.
Well, it's not better. It's not. The question isn't even better. It's just the whole narrative has been that folk style is prohibitive of us achieving our maximum freestyle success. I guess,
and that's not true, obviously.
Okay,
we just won the worlds.
I agree.
Yeah, so I feel like if you pick a side here, you play into the argument, and I feel like people should just stop arguing about it and say like, hey, I like them both. I want to do them both. I'm going to wrestle folk style during the season, and then I'm going to wrestle freestyle the rest of the year.
Yes.
I think you can say that, but I think it's so silly to say that if America was freestyle full-time, we wouldn't be 0.1% better at freestyle as a country. If you just start doing gut wrenches from the time you're 5 years old.
I don't know.
Like, I think it's safe to say, like, you can succeed in spite of that, and you can be very good, and that folk style and freestyle training are very similar. But to say that you wouldn't be better at freestyle if you did that full time is just kind of silly to me. And then if you truly think that folk style makes you better at freestyle, then you should be advocating for women to wrestle folk style in college instead of freestyle, because then they would be better. If we want to beat Japan, maybe we should start training more folk style. Our ladies should start training more folk style.
A lot of them do end up training a lot of folk style.
Well, you have to, because if you just go to club when you're a youth person, you do folk style.
You need to know how to claw tilt. I would say, I don't know. I'm not an expert on development, but I think there's something to the grind of folk style matches that helps us in matches. I think there's something to the continuous wrestling nature of folk style, whereas like it's kind of always, whereas in freestyle top bottom it's very much like you're sort of switching to a more defensive thing. I don't know. I think there's a lot of exchanges and things where I see folk style in freestyle. I mean, you certainly see it with David. My gosh, I mean, he's ripping bar halves off, and
I think you can do that while training freestyle.
How many Russians do you see do that?
0.0.
And I say normally Russian
JD
pizza.
wants to fight.
See, this is why we have this question.
He's just
JD's
trying to pick fights. He's trying to pick fights over here.
Yeah. All right, here's a good question.
And I'm not even saying like we should strictly just train freestyle. I like folk style wrestling too. I'm just saying, to me, it is silly to say like if you didn't exclusively do that, you wouldn't be, even if it's 0.1% better, 0.1% better.
We might be 0.1% better. We might be measures better in some aspects of freestyle wrestling, but there could be counterbalanced drop-offs in that we lose in folk style, and that to me is where the true answer is.
And I think you can get tough and wrestle hard without necessarily wrestling folk style.
There's zero tough freestyle only wrestlers that we can
No tough.
on.
They don't like hard wrestling.
They don't like hard wrestling, period.
Don't like it.
Yeah, just kidding. Okay, here's a question, because these are all questions.
And I also think if you want to counter that with, a lot of guys have success immediately post college season. That has a lot more to do with the structure of a college season than wrestling folk style in college.
Well, that's a very convenient perspective to take.
And age has a lot to do with it as well.
Perhaps. Okay. From Sip Dit. If you're Yazdani or one of his coaches, what's the answer for David Taylor, if there even is one? Yazdani hasn't scored a takedown in their last 2 matches, and DT seems to only have widened the gap from last year's beatdown. Yeah. Man, it's tough because he wrestles so one way. Like, David has such a diversity.
That's all of Iran, too, for that matter.
I would say Amazad is a little more, I mean, you kind of know what he's going to do. I think he's a little more diverse, a little more leg attack oriented than Yazdani. But I think, I don't know. You have to like rewind the tape and kind of go back to how you developed a lot of the way. Because
you're a different weight class.
Honestly, do you go 97 and just see what happens?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. David or Ben, technically, where does he give him so much trouble?
Well, I mean, a lot of, like your point, a lot of areas because he has no answer for him right now. Yeah, I mean, to your, I'm gonna look up his age right now.
He's like,
because
he's
not old.
28.
He's 28, but he's obviously, he won the Olympics in 16, so he's older in his wrestling career. So to kind of reinvent yourself at this age is incredibly difficult. And that's something that he would have to do. He would have to really kind of reinvent his wrestling style to be leg attack oriented or find a different way to attack David, because none of the ways he has right now are working even slightly.
Yeah. I mean, is there a hand fighting solution?
But it's got to be, but hand fighting's not going to be scoring, right? He's got to be able to score, and David's going to score at least a couple times, so he's got to be able to score more than a couple times, right?
Yeah.
And right, he's been so limited to an underhook and scrambles, and David just wins all those, and David doesn't give up any go behinds. I was actually grilling him. He was at PNL, and I was like, dude, never, because he never gives up go behinds, and one of the things is he kind of stays on both knees a lot, which is actually kind of, I'm saying kind of bad. He actually argued that it was good because he said, say in the Penn State room, they're so good at go behinds and I agree with this point, is if you put up a leg, they're going to go get that leg. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But obviously if you secured an elbow, then it is a little different. It makes it way harder for them to go get that leg. But if they don't have one and you come up, it's so easy for them to attack that leg, that post that's up. Man, he's so good at not giving up go behinds. And so, I mean, Yazdani have to probably figure out a way to go underneath him in order to score, because that's the way he hasn't done, because he doesn't really do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's got to be a super high pace, low scoring match is what it has to be. He's got to find a way to keep him off his legs. Pretty much if David gets on his legs, it's either points or nothing for Yazdani. I don't know. But, we say if he wasn't in Iran, and this is kind of weird to say, I feel like maybe Yazdani would have a better chance to, like, figure something out. But I feel like they're so, like, sort of stuck in how they go about winning that he can't. Like, David made his first team in 2018, right? He was 27, 28 years old, right?
Yes.
And, he certainly has evolved his style, right? So it's not that it can't be done at that age. And to be fair, like, David's always had an incredibly diverse offensive style.
Yeah. I don't know if you say David evolved that much. I mean, he was always so diverse that he could do so many different things.
Yeah.
I think he grew into the weight class, and he got better at all the things. But evolve, it's a hard one for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's probably not evolved.
Well, the way he's evolved, in my opinion, is he keeps up that incredible pace without shooting as much. I don't think he has quite as much high of attack rate, but the hand fight is probably more brutal, and the pressure is still there. But he's not shoot.
He started this thing. I don't know when you could say, and he's always had a high pace, but like second periods are just like he just goes nuclear in those periods, and people can't stay with him. So that was a change for sure, and I think that's a good point.
I gotta go find it. He did an interview where he talked about that,
how he like sort of optimized for that last 3 minutes.
Yeah, and it had something to do with shooting less, picking your spots more wisely, but still having a high pace and increased hand fight.
Yes.
Yeah. So, man, I'm on Yazdani's Wikipedia page. He has 9 world medals already, which is pretty wild to think about. World and Olympics, so if we include them both. And then, man, he's only lost 7 times. And his only losses since 2016, Alexander Medved.
Sabalov,
David Taylor.
That was before that.
Sabalov, Sabalov was at the Alexander Medved in February of 2016. And then since then, his only losses are David Taylor. And he teched Sabalov later that year at the World Cup. It's actually pretty cool on Wikipedia. They have literally all of his matches, 109-7 in his senior level career.
I've said enough. In America, obviously, Yazdani is renowned internationally, especially in Iran. But I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He's basically a Kyle Snyder situation, where if David Taylor's not at his weight, we're looking at him as a GOAT.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Which David said that.
Yes, he, in the bracket he won in 2016, was very tough, too.
Yeah, that's true. He won the bracket with Burroughs, Godoyev.
He beat Godoyev, too. Diaperhead.
Yeah.
He's getting destroyed, and then he somehow won.
And if you look through his matches, dude, his only close matches and his wins, so his only losses are David. His only close matches and wins are Gasimpur. He's a 5-2 win over Gasimpur, 2020 Olympic trials. He has 6-3 over Gasimpur in the 2019 World Team Trials. And besides that, he kind of smashes. Like, I guess if you want to say 11-5 is close over Karuglev, but they're mostly techs.
Yeah. No, he speaking of going nuclear, this guy just goes insane late in matches. Yeah. Really, sometimes he just overwhelms guys early, actually. Like, he just comes out and people are not able to just stay on the mat with him. It's crazy. But if you can hang around like David, and only David can, it gets ugly. Okay. Does Kyle Snyder have any chance of another world or Olympic title at this point? Asked Scott Sowitz. For sure he does.
It will be interesting to see how the development of Taz goes. And then, one of the other things is that happens is people will start studying him because at least I don't know. And actually, there's a question on here later that I think fits into this one and I don't know the answer to it, is did Taz have U17 and U20 world medals? Because it felt like no one was talking about him, and he took everyone by total surprise, and no one had any film on him, so they kind of almost didn't know what to expect, which couldn't be said of Sedgelive because he's from Sedgeliv's wrestling academy or whatever, so Sedgelive had to know him a little bit, but the rest of the people didn't know him.
Right. So it's not like he had an undefeated. We already talked about this, but like he had a loss to Batsayev like in the summer, So I don't know, but you have to figure more development's coming for him. And Snyder was. You can say what you want, but he got in scoring positions 2 times and just he got countered in ways. Now we've seen Kyle countered that way, right? So that is an area where he's got to shore that up. But I'm not ruling out him running down Taz because I don't know, he seems a little more open in his wrestling than Sadulayev, who is so just like shut down. And I think that may favor Kyle a little bit better.
Well, yeah, and to that point, Kyle can still try another strategy. Like he could try just hand fighting hard for the first, 4 minutes, and because Taz did not generate any of his own offense there. Every single point was off Kyle's point. So there's a significantly different strategy that Kyle can try the next time against him.
And the counter to that is this dude shot like a sweep double against Sadulayev and finished it, and then turned him after that. Which, injured or not, like we haven't really seen that. So, but Kyle's the man for the job, I would say. Yeah. So it's hard to imagine. It's hard to rule out Kyle because this guy is 27. He's 27. So you're gonna tell me
that's so crazy.
He's got how many medals now? 8.
Well, we talk about next year will be his 10th year on the team.
What'd you say?
Next year will be his 10th year on the team, and he'll be 28.
Yeah.
That's so insane.
It's so insane, and I think write him off at your own peril, I'd say, because he's a guy who wants to wrestle forever. He has said this since 2015, and at every checkpoint along the way, he's like, I want to wrestle till I'm 40. I want to wrestle till I'm 45. Like, he has been consistent about this. This dude just is about it. And also, there's sort of a lack of... Now, I think maybe Aaron Brooks is going to become his biggest competition. I think Aaron eventually will move up into 97.
Ooh.
But
I was just seeing a picture of Aaron the other day, and he looked big. He looked so big.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Apparently the 84 cut was none too fun for him. So he'll be moving up, and it sounds like he won't be at an 86 very long, maybe even beyond this 2024. So I think that becomes Snyder's biggest threat. And honestly, if Aaron wasn't moving up, it's just Jaden, and for whatever reason, Jaden hasn't been able to even get to that match.
Hey, the thing we were talking about earlier, where like how would have Burroughs done if he was on the team, or how would Yanni have done if he was on the team? Yeah. The one that I can't believe more people are bringing up is, would Aaron Brooks have won a world title at 92? Because Zahid took bronze, and he actually beat Zahid. So in these other cases, Burroughs lost to Marsteller.
Yes. And
Yanni lost to Nick Lee.
Yes.
Aaron Brooks actually beat Zahid Valencia, but because of the process, didn't get the chance to wrestle off for that weight class, or chose not to, whichever way you want to put it. That's one I'm really surprised people are bringing up, because the guy who won it is another young kid who maybe did not have as great of results this year and is probably getting better still, and won the title. Could Aaron Brooks have beat him?
Possible. That is the area I think you could press in a little bit and say.
We got a question from Dan the House. Does this make CP rethink his stance on wrestling the Olympic weights first and then non-Olympic weights to make the team?
No, I don't think I like that.
Man, come on, let's do this. It's so much smarter.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit, but I think at some point you want a really cool event that has significant meaning, and it can't just be all about the nuanced aspects of the process that are, there's a vulnerability here. If all these things play out, I think you kind of take that and you have the awesome final X, right? I think, and then if you
I feel like you're thinking from a media perspective. Because a media perspective, you're obviously
not. Well, I'm thinking more from a fan perspective. I think.
Yeah, fan media. Sorry, that's kind of the same thing.
I would not say that's the same thing, but yes.
Well, really? Because if the media produces great content, the fans are more pleased than if the media produces crappy content. So I don't know. It's like, and content
maybe they are one and the same.
Yeah, they're very similar, or
Yeah.
at least they have the same interests there, I would say. But yeah, from a competitive standpoint, if I have a hard time finding an argument where letting certain losers wrestle off, they would have to meet a criteria. They'd probably have to be in Final X, right? They'd probably have to lose at one of the Olympic weights, and then they would be able to have a week or two to say, hey, I actually want to wrestle off this other weight class, and then go do it. Like,
Yeah. I think, I mean, for sure, Aaron Brooks had a case to be the guy at 92. Like, there's no denying that. But, he made his commitment to 86, and
yeah.
It's not like we came home empty-handed at 92, so he did a good job.
Well, kind of the unfortunate part for Aaron now is not just in addition to not making a team, but Zahid now is in an advantageous position.
That's a good point.
At the Olympic Trials bracket.
You should be able to get the wrestle off, not for the team, but for the
Zahid playing
the
chess,
bride
not
of the bracket.
checkers out here.
Yeah, he really
dropping
is.
this match now. So he's set up better for the Olympic Trials.
He's playing the long game. That is a very fair point, for sure. Yeah, that's a vulnerability, and also, kind of goes back to why are we rushing the Olympic Trials? They should have a trials bracket, and then they should have the wrestle off a week or two later, or something. I haven't thought it out fully. Okay, other questions. There's literally billions. What weights do the tweeners go, and what if Vito went 65? There's no way Vito goes up. Also, like, it's not even the size. It's like he would never go into Yanni's weight. That's almost more absurd. Like, I'm like best friends, and like, all right. And also, it's just not his best weight. He can make 57. It's not fun. He's not been the same at 57. But like, the interesting thing is like how much, because Vito's talked a lot about the weight, but even more about just like his mentality and his work with his sports psychologist and how that has had an impact. So like, now we have to question why Vito over the last year has been the most breakout of breakout stars, right? But how much of that is he's at the right weight? How much of that is the mentality? And therein lies the answer for how he's probably going to do at 57. Because if it's all mentality, he's probably going to be the guy. But if it's like 80% he's at the right weight class, then he's probably dealing with the same issues he was at Final X in 2022.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think he's that guy. Oh man,
57 is gonna be so much fun. We're gonna have a great time next year.
Yeah, you gonna go?
Yeah, I'm going.
You gonna enter?
No.
All right.
Probably not.
All right, David looks ripe for the picking, Ben.
Ben, is this?
Yeah, one of my kids is like, "Can you beat David still?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I could ever." I mean, at some point, probably, when he was like 17 or 18, probably because he was smaller and way younger, probably gonna beat him. Then at some point, he eclipsed me, of course, and then probably at no point after that could I have ever beat him again.
Wow, very big of you to admit that, Ben.
That's a ridiculous question. He's bigger than me, and he's the best in the world. No, I cannot beat him.
Yeah.
Will this be your first Olympic trials with athletes competing? Did anybody compete in 2021?
That's a good question.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But yeah, we should have at least a few AWAs in this Olympic trials.
That's pretty cool.
And then hopefully it never stops after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So and Mitchell obviously has aspirations too, right? So Mitchell and Keegan potentially in the same bracket.
Yeah, they'd probably be in the same bracket.
Mitchell has to. What is he? They both have to do either place.
Well, Mitchell's already qualified.
He's already
World
qualified.
Medalist.
So
yeah, junior world champ.
So did Keegan.
Any age level,
qualified.
They're both qualified.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I was thinking Olympic red shirt, not trials.
Yeah. That's.
No, he's qualified for the trials though.
If you're a world junior, an age level medalist, you're in.
I think it's junior world champion specifically.
Okay.
I believe. Let's see.
You might be right.
But then Keegan's a junior world champ also, but I don't know if there's a date on it. Olympic trials wrestling.
They just announced it, right?
September 15th. It
like
was like
the
first
day
of
Worlds started.
I'm pulling it up.
Here we go. I got it also. The full procedure. I got it. It's from this website called FloWrestling, written by a guy named JD Rader.
Great champion. Okay.
The requirements. All right. Let's see. Provided events names used as part of the process. You said no, so U20s was only 2023. They also, you know what a wild one is though? They're letting the U17 world champs in also, I think.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't have an issue with that. Why not?
Well, I don't have an issue with it, but like Keegan can't get in because his world championship was a year before. Ago? Like that means he's more mature, right? More, I don't know.
Yeah, that's dumb. The U17,
yeah.
And then U23, I believe he's wrestling in U23s, so he could get in via that also, and then also via NCAs.
Or Bill Farrell. Or
I don't believe he's competing at the Bill Farrell.
You don't believe?
I don't. Keegan is not. I don't think so. No.
Okay. All right. Next question. Hasim Muhammad. Hope I said that right. Sidikov has seemingly exposed Dake's go-to defense, the chest wrap. Any thoughts on his competitors being able to take advantage of this? This was his main means of shutting Nolf and Burroughs down in their last meetings.
Did we talk about this in the last show?
Not from the angle of did Sidikov reveal sort something of how to finish on Dake.
Okay. Well, I would say that Keegan actually brought this up the day before the Sidikov Dake match about how what you actually need to do is attack his heel. That was exactly what Sidikov did. So very observant by that young man.
Wow.
So yeah, there's the knowledge of what to do, but then there's the skill to be able to do it, right? Mm-hmm. I always say with my athletes, I'm like, well, all you guys have the knowledge of how to do a single leg, but can you go execute that on someone in the state finals? Can you go execute it on someone in the national finals? Like, those are two very different things. Knowledge and ability to execute are way, way different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do you think that Jason or Jordan or Keegan have the ability to execute?
Well, Jordan doesn't have that. He doesn't do that outside step maneuver.
Yeah.
So the newer head outside one. Keegan does it very well to both sides. Mitchell does it very well to both sides. But those guys, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they can make it that far. Does Nolf do it that much? I don't think he does.
He's more head inside.
He's more head inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean that does appear to be the tactic to beat him. Given what Sidikov did and given us not, and actually, well, no, didn't the Japanese guy get there from the same attack? I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was head outside also. Outside. So yeah, I mean that's it. So obviously, I'm sure Kyle Dake will be saying, "Hey, I gave that position up sometimes. I need to get some more work in here and probably try to get better."
I think that was the first thing he said in the interview. Is like something to the effect of, "I gotta keep him off my legs. Can't let him in that much," or something to that extent. And the interesting thing is, for all we're talking about exposing Dake's defense, he lost basically by a point to this guy. He scored 7 points on him. So for all that, it was just a position, and he was successful there. I'm not dismissing that, but it's like it's not like it was this drastic sort of beat. Like David Taylor exposes Yazdani every time they wrestle him. Like just like his very specific vulnerabilities are just highlighted and emphasized every time David wrestles him. Like this was an aspect where you thought Dake would have the advantage, and it turns out he didn't in this match. So it's not as bad as that, but I thought it was a really good question.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask that question.
Uh-oh, what is it? Which one?
If you can find it, I'll let you ask it. But
man.
Why are U.S. transfers doing so well? We have the best coaches, trainers, facilities yet. Wait, this has got to be a joke. Bert Bartsky, I'm sorry I didn't read that question fully, but that's funny.
That's a good one.
I know we have drug testing for Worlds, but is anyone testing Taz to see if he is human? I don't know if they do actual human testing.
He looked human to me.
He was a biped, for sure. No, he's a human. Our guy Travis Shives is convinced he's going to be transferred back to Russia by the time the Olympics rolls around.
Really? That'd be a fast turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know if the question is, can it happen? Like from because did he actually transfer to Bahrain, or is he just?
It's all about his UWW license, and he never represented Russia at a UWW event growing up, so I don't know if he had a UWW license. Mm-hmm. So he might have only ever had one UWW license.
I think he has a CDL, but I don't think that matters here.
He actually grew up in Bahrain. I'm surprised you guys didn't know that.
Some wrestling experts. You don't even know where this guy's from.
Hey, I like where was Bahrain? I didn't know that.
So
India's got all kinds of problems.
Well, they're gearing up for the Asian Games in like a week or two.
Oh yeah,
which for them as a country, the Asian Games are very big. Obviously more important than the World Championships, which is kind of crazy to think about.
That doesn't seem obvious to me because the world is actually bigger than Asia. But it is a true thing that like Japan, I believe, has done this in the past, and like
yes,
I think maybe even North Korea back when they had that 57-kilo guy, they would prioritize Asian Games. But it's not obvious to me, but it is definitely a thing in
it's
Asia.
Starting now, yes. It has some sort of like tie into the Olympics, but it's very important for them, so they are gearing up for that, which is
How do you watch those?
Maybe NBC. I don't know.
I'm sure they're gonna blow it up. They're gonna get people really excited for it.
Yeah, I know. I was in Asia a lot. They had the Southeast Asian Games also. Those are big, and maybe it's a factor of for a lot of those countries, they know they really have no chance in certain events at Worlds. So if they can win the Continentals or that, it's much cooler. Something to that effect, probably.
Mm-hmm. True that. Okay. Do you guys want to pick some questions? I'm just like rapid fire. There's a bunch.
Spencer Lee update. I saw him on Instagram. He was in Japan. I don't know if he was training or he was just hanging out but he was hanging out with some Japanese wrestlers.
That was a while ago, but yep.
It was?
I'll get.
Shoot, I mean, Instagram
months.
Hard then.
It was
like
just
came up
ago.
To my Instagram feed
he said he didn't really train there.
Yeah.
He's like, I kind of rolled around, but not trained. It sounds like he's back to training now.
Yeah, I'm going to Iowa next week, so.
Ooh, all right.
I'll talk to Spencer there.
There is no official U.S. broadcaster of the Asian Games.
See,
darn,
that's cool.
So if you want to watch the U.S.
Meyer Shapiro said he's going 57. What do we think about that? I think he's a contender for sure.
We talked about it, I think, a while ago because I forget where it was. Oh yeah, Coach Gray told me. My thought is he can win a national title this year at 157. No doubt in my mind that's possible for him.
Yeah, I think so too. He's freaking fun to watch. He's fun to watch in freestyle. I'm sure he's going to be a lot of fun to watch in folk style. I didn't watch any of the open tournaments he was in last year, but I know his results were really, really, really good.
Yes. All right, you got to keep them coming. I'm trying to let y'all go, but you can't have these pauses. You got to have them keyed up.
I'm in a Asian Games deep dive right now.
Well, stop. No one cares. There's a reason it's not streamed in America.
Muzakayev did have an, we'll say, accidental single grab. It appeared. I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. This picture is pretty bad, but sometimes, yeah, I don't know.
He's too fast
for rules.
I didn't
even
even
notice that it happened. These small little singlet grabs happen all the time in a match.
You say that?
Time, yes.
Okay, you say that, and I want to believe, but also, I watch so much American wrestling, and it's incredibly rare. Like, we had the Jordan Chance thing where it was like really, really subtle, but like straps getting grabbed, I do not see that.
That wasn't a strap getting grabbed though.
Remember when Sargush used to put it over their head?
Yes.
He grabbed the strap so hard, he would literally pull it over their head.
That doesn't happen.
I think it's.
But I'm saying like a finger getting caught in a strap like real quick for a second happens, and then you can pause this and be like, wow, look at this terrible singlet grab. All that happened in here was Musakayev's hand was coming down and his finger got caught in the chest area of the singlet and it snapped it.
That's why they should wear the compression t-shirts and shorts. Wouldn't happen then. It'd be fine.
Hey, one big one big rule change I would do for international wrestling. Well, obviously grounded is the number one for sure.
Yeah.
But we got to have some injury time and an actual significant penalty. I don't know if it's a point penalty. I don't know what it is. But in folk style, they give you choice, which most of the time turns into a penalty of a point because they choose down and get up. there should be some type of penalty because it is so dumb that you can just
or
early bird it whenever
at
they
minimum a time limit. And I didn't see anyone
want.
taking
At minimum, yes, at minimum time limit.
I didn't see anyone take tremendous advantage of it at the Worlds, but it's a vulnerability. You can shut the door, and yeah. All right.
Do you think there should be a 235-pound weight class?
No.
Hell no.
No,
Gosh,
so dumb.
why?
There's already too many upper weights.
Yeah. In folk style, no. In freestyle, no. In no scenario.
Freestyle, I'd take one of the upper weights away. I would shift all the weights. Like, I'd jam them down if I couldn't freestyle. I'd leave 213. I'd move 82 down. I'd move 96 down, and I'd just push them down.
Yeah. I think
too
that would
many
be
up top.
totally fine.
Folk
There's
style,
no.
I could see your argument of college wrestling of moving 197 to like 205, and then maybe
88 or something.
180, 190, somewhere in there potentially. Maybe slide them up a tiny little bit, but man, if you're 220, you can make 205 kind of easy, and if you're 220, you're big enough to win at heavyweight.
Yeah. If you're 235,
you're a big dude.
You're big, and you could probably be 250 pounds very easily, which is plenty big to win. To win Worlds. Who weighs 285?
No one weighs 285 anymore.
No one ever.
Not even Zare, not
even
Akul,
allowed.
not Petroshvili. Well, 265 is the weight class for international wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was kind of in folk style mode there, but yeah.
Yeah.
A couple extra kilos for Greco.
Snyder,
Big boys.
big because the Greco humans are different size. They had a study.
Mijan Lopez is built different.
He is literally built different. I love that Cuban is like qualifies to weigh for them and all that stuff, and he's like, it is Mijan's spot now.
It's so funny too that Mijan was there. He was in Belgrade.
It's like, bro,
and was like, yes, I'm making a return, but I'm not this
you
year.
guys know the deal. I make weight once every 4 years, and I beat everyone, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
And I don't even practice.
And I don't have to practice, and don't even ask me about practicing, because it's pointless, because I don't need to. When I lose at the Olympics, I will start practicing.
And then I dance and crotch chop on all you fans.
Yes. And then I go D Generation X.
Hey, this was a fun show, but we're doing tiers on Thursday. Bank on it.
Okay. It shall be banked. Don't try to cut us off early. It's 9:28.
Hey, I
I
this
already
question
looked
from
through the
Spade.
questions. All the good questions are done. We need to be done.
No.
I like this one from Spade. Hungary, Serbia, or Bahrain? Which new freestyle powerhouse will earn the most
Oh,
medals in Paris?
Space trying to troll you guys. He works for Flow. He can't troll you guys.
He
Kind of not a troll, though, because it is actually a good question to think about who's going to get
What
the most
hung-
medals.
Oh yeah, Hungary with Musakayev.
Musi Baby, Stefan, or Taz?
Well, I mean, if you guys really make me pick, Bahrain's got the best finances. So if we got anyone smart in the government over there, then they're going to start hiring all the Russians.
Bahrain has numerous guys, so I'll say them. And their guy just beat Snyder and Sadulayev consecutively and pinned his person in the finals. So I'll go with him.
I might lean
Oh.
Serbia because they got Sabalov.
Here is a last question from Karmash. Did anything stick out to you tactically, technically, or physically, body language about the Russians? They were definitely missing an angry Tadiev in the corner. That's for sure. I think the more I look at Russia's performance at Worlds, they didn't qualify any weights in women's, any weights in Greco, and they're not powerhouses there, but they're solid, good, above average. And I just, you kind of write off this whole Worlds as like, there's major systematic issues in Russia on the wrestling side.
Well, I mean, the perplexing thing to me, and I believe I already brought this up, but those other guys who won are training. They're training in Russia.
Yeah.
Taz, Musakayev, I believe there's one more I'm forgetting right now, but they're training in Russia with the other people. So why did they do fine and the Russians did not? It's a good question.
Abakarov, does he trains in Russia as well?
Probably does, yeah.
Yeah, so they've got, honestly, you put their 10 highest scoring Russians,
Transfers.
true Russians, then I'm curious how they win. Of course, if we play that game, we won 57 and we had a finalist at 65. So we'll play that, but
Maybe.
it would improve their performance. Okay. Thank you very much for your questions. Still many that were not answered, and even the ones we answered, did we actually answer them? I don't
You did
know.
a great job.
All we
Best
can do
job, some
all
might
we
say.
can do is our best. That's what Coach Ben says. We have to give effort.
That's all we can do.
Thank you to Ben. Thank you to JD. And especially you for tuning in on a Monday. We hope you have a great week. We will be back on Thursday, I do believe. Sticking with our schedule, which is rare for us, but we're doing it for consecutive weeks now. So good job by us. Good job by you. We will see you Thursday. Thank you so much. Goodbye.